People that come together, people that fall apart. No one can stop us now, 'cause we are all made of stars.
Welcome to Equal Setting.
Well, first of all, I think it's immensely exciting. And the model that's been made for them to start work on, I'm so impressed by it. It really is great. It's stupendous.
We used to invent the model in the early days. We used to go around and just build the landscape out of kids' imagination. As we've gone on, it's got a bit more realistic. And if you look over here, you'll see there's Arthur's seat sitting there. And that's been built up for the kids, as have a lot of the buildings that exist in this part of Edinburgh.
Eco-City is a way of trying to get primary school children to think about the future of the city, particularly in ecological and urban design terms. I'm really pleased to have Robin Harper here. He's the Green Party member of the Scottish Parliament, and he's taken a great interest in this project. He's come along to introduce it, and he will also come along at the end of the project to see how it's going on.
I've been told that at Halifax, where they've done something similar, 80% of the ideas were taken on. So the challenge here is to make sure that as many people as possible get to hear about it, come down, see what's going on, and take the lessons away.
Are you all ready to get work on it? Yeah! Oh, come on, louder than that.
Then I look at it from 2 points of view, as a former teacher, from the educational side of it, and then of course from the community side of it, and what this can do and will do, I'm quite certain, for the community in this part of Edinburgh.
Yeah, the Friday walkabout is so that the children can get used to that area of the model that they'll be building. So we send them out around the streets of Edinburgh, they point out the things they like, the things they don't like, the things they would like to change on their part of the model. And then on Monday they can come in, they can appreciate the section of the model that they're building and start to put these ideas into practice as we're building them.
And that building there, you see 1884, is actually, it's quite modern for the Royal Mile, because the Royal Mile actually started way back, like much older than that.
Yeah, Edinburgh used to just be the Royal Mile, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the new town was built in 1750, so that's 100 years before this.
Right.
So this is called the Old Town, so that's a new bit of the Old Town, right?
So probably about 14 something.
Well, certainly the Old Town started way back then, yes. It's very old.
I mean, how would you make this more fun?
Well, you could put like an ice rink.
That'll be nice rink.
No, it's not actually funny. It's actually
No.
Could do is like you could have lots of vegetables gardenings and they could all take turns to look after it and then they could also split up the vegetables between them.
What do you think? What about Sarah? Would you like to grow some vegetables in here or anything? No.
Turn it into a football pitch. Football pitch.
No, not at all.
Football pitch.
Yeah, that'd be a cool football pitch.
Now, one of the reasons that we're doing this is because as the project's progressed, it's become very useful as a community development tool, not just with the kids, but actually also with adults. Quite often, the adults can actually get a lot of a kick of ideas from the children's imagination.
From the educational side of it, it is one of these examples where you can see how much children can gain if their creativity is released, if they can get out of the classroom and do something completely different, inspired, and given a big squadge of time to really achieve something rather than, especially in secondary schools where you do things in 40-minute slots.
The main thing about this project is that it's developed something that's happened since we did Craigmiller in 1996, which is that there's an opportunity for the kids to actually have a dialogue with the adults. Everybody comes in on the Friday, they see what the kids have done. They've developed a genuinely environmentally friendly urban environment.
A team
team of budding young designers have been given the task of redeveloping Scotland's capital into a city of the future.
40 primary school children are taking part in a new project to make Edinburgh more environmentally friendly. And as Liz Monaghan reports, the youngsters have some definite ideas on what's needed.
This is the blank canvas that the children will be working on, a huge-scale model of the city, and over the next 5 days it will be transformed into their vision of the future.
They have got to rebuild or redevelop this part of Edinburgh that includes the old town, Dunby Dyke, South Side, in a way that makes it environmentally friendly and suits the needs of everybody who lives here. So it's not just for children, but for elderly people, disabled people, mums with buggies and, animals, wildlife, the whole thing.
As part of the exercise, anything is possible. Tower blocks can be demolished, cars can be banned, as long as it improves the quality of life in Edinburgh. So what do the children really think about the city?
It's very dull, it needs much more colour, so when people, tourists come, it'll be like, this is a really nice place to come to. So it really feels like you should have more stuff to do for kids as well.
They even have designs on the new Parliament building.
I think it's good, but I think it needs more colour and less wonky windows.
The project finishes on Friday when the young designers hand over their ideas to MSPs.
What I'm hoping will happen during the week is that the children will learn from each other. There's children from different backgrounds with different abilities, and they'll share ideas, they'll learn from each other's experiences, and as the week goes on, they'll learn more about ecological development, about urban design, about how to communicate and negotiate with each other, and about how a city works together, because they're having to think about everything, about transport, about electricity, about transport systems. So at the end of the week we're going to have a really vibrant, bright model that's not just about physical things, but about the way people in this community live and react and relate to one another.
That's going to shadow all the other buildings.
I mean, think about the light's going to come this way, so think about the light, they have big shadows coming down there.
That's going to shadow all the other buildings.
What is it?
It's the and not very eco-friendly, using too much wood for a model.
Is it housing?
I know.
From the community side, there's so much to be gained from this. I've been going around looking at all their plans, and people have got to listen to what they're saying, because they're not just thinking of themselves, they're thinking about the environment, they're thinking about older people, they're thinking about their mummies and daddies as well and what they would like for them.
Okay, we think that the first thing you've got to do is give yourselves a great big Eco-City clap for everything you've done today. Look at this. Well done! The project's funded by a number of sources: Communities Scotland, the Housing Department of City of Edinburgh Council, the Lighthouse SUST programme on sustainable development, and Strategic Programme Social Inclusion Partnership. And the reason that they funded it is to give children who live in and around this area an opportunity to have their say about how the community develops.
Okay, off you go. Quickly take you around. The model's been taken apart. What we do is we put it together in the evening, and when they're finished working, or in the middle of the afternoon when they're finished working, and then we take it apart the next morning after they've seen it again when they come in. So let's have a look around each of the boards and see what the ideas are. This one's on the edge of the Queen's Park, and they're dealing with part of Dunby Dykes here. Very interesting little story here was that when they were walking around last week around the area, they actually bumped into a local guy, and they said, what would you like to happen here? And the chap said, well, we'd like to have these houses painted. We'd like them to be painted in really nice pastel colours. And they equally, about 10 minutes later, bumped into the chap who was actually going around with a clipboard, and he was from the council, and they said, what colour are you going to paint them? And he said, grey. So the children have kind of decided that the locals win here, and they've painted them pastel shades. Really nice story, because it really did happen. It's like a little bit of community consultation by the kids. So
Sasha's garden's really coming on here. You're doing well, Sasha. You've done more since we visited it a while ago.
This is my public toilet.
All right.
Because it doesn't really, it'd be good really, and that's the house for the person.
That works in it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's thoughtful.
Park ranger.
On the park ranger? There's a park ranger coming tomorrow, so you'll be able to show her where she can live on the model.
That'd be fun.
We've got a specialist in Chinese gardens here, some really superb stuff. Very, very nice sense of design. Sometimes you wonder how thought through it is in terms of substance, but actually in terms of design, it's really beautiful. And also, you'll note that they've also tried to find a nice designery way of dealing with solar energy in both a sort of transparent sense and also in terms of creating energy. So there's some very nice stuff on this. It's very colourful and some extremely fine kind of design sense for kids of this age, 9 to 10. It's quite sophisticated.
What's your favourite thing to do?
Making trees and bushes and stuff.
This is the best trees. These are the best trees we've ever had before. Do you know how we usually do it? You have to roll up thousands and thousands of bits of tissue paper, and that usually makes the trees of the forest. So you're really lucky that you don't have to do that. You've got all this lovely stuff to choose from. Nice, isn't it?
That we're getting to say what we want to be done. It's going to be quite fun, but we're having fun at Eco City. But we do hope that they don't knock down the Dummy Dykes high-rise flats, because a lot of people stay there and they've lived there for years and don't want them knocked down.
Well, here's one. It could be demolished for yuppie flats. Anybody up for that? No. Right. It could be improved for local people.
Yes!
Right. But there's a bit of a snag with that one, because if local people buy these flats in their right to buy capacity, they could end up in the private sector and sold for 300,000 quid in 10 years anyway. So what's the future for these flats? We're going to hear from the young folk, we want to hear from you.
Leslie Riddick programme is coming from Dummy Dykes today, and they've got people who live here and they've got folk from the council to interview about what's happening. Basically, is the area going to stay the same? Is it going to be knocked down and MSPs and journalists are going to move in? But they're interested in finding out what the kids think and what they've been doing at Dynamic Earth this week. So these are our kids who live here or very close by. She wants to talk to them about their views about what's happening around here.
Right, 9 and 10 you are. You all live in Dumby Dykes, and you've been part of a big project, the Eco City project, to devise a new future for the whole area. Not just these council blocks that were built in the 60s, but the whole area, like the Scottish Parliament, everything that's around you. And you've come up with some good ideas. Like, who thinks, for example, that Dumby Dykes, as it is at the moment, is okay? Who thinks it's okay?
They wouldn't like Dumby Dykes flats to be knocked down because they've really not got anywhere else to live in. Just as what Jet said, it's like people have been staying there for many years and people really like their homes the way it is.
This group here have got a serious challenge because it's one of the most complex parts of Edinburgh. And interestingly enough, they've got the burnt out site where there was the big fire a year and a half ago. And also that's the point at which Edinburgh's at 2 levels. And there was a magic moment yesterday morning when we were talking about that, and there was a tram line going along the top road. And I asked the question as to what should happen at the lower level, and one of the kids said that they felt there should be a tram line going at low level so there could be an interchange there. And I said, that's just terrific, that's absolutely superb. And you could see her grow about 3 feet as she was praised for this idea.
So, I get off, what are you up to?
Making our design for a chocolate factory.
All right, and where's the chocolate factory going to go?
Over where the bus garage used to be.
Oh, it's going to be there instead of the bus garage?
Yeah, but we've not decided yet. We were told to go in pairs to do our own designs, so we decided to do a chocolate factory.
And Chantel, you thought about the tram system this morning on the model, didn't you?
Yeah.
This just looks at a hole in the ground. It's a very sophisticated urban issue, and real architects are dealing with that with 16 different owners, and it's very, very sophisticated. You'll notice rather nicely there's a covered mall all the way down to it now, so it's being emphasised in a manner it wasn't before.
What are you doing here?
These
are the high flats and dummy dikes.
Right. And what have you decided to do with them?
We decided to move the middle ones to the back here so we can put gardens in.
All right, that's a nice idea.
And I decided to put greenhouses up here as well.
Do you live anywhere near here?
Yes, dummy dikes.
And I helped make the model with a group of 4 or 5 people, and it was probably about a working week in all of labour hours. It was very intense and took a lot of work, and today I can hardly recognise it at all because we started out with a pristine white model and very carefully placed blocks that have been moved and chucked aside and replaced, and it's fantastic. It's very good.
What's more important to children than the environment they live in? That affects them 24 hours a day. They live in it, they play in it, they sleep in it. And we think it's really important that they have a say about the way that their world, their local environment develops.
One of the beauties of an exercise like this is that the children here, they don't know anything about costs, about money, about who might object and so on. They just think, this might be a good idea, let's try it. So there is no restriction on their way of thinking whatsoever. And so you're going to get all the more ideas coming out from them. It really is going to be great.
But you may have noticed that there's a new thing being built down the road called the Scottish Parliament. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's really good because the colour and that and how they're making it and how they're designing it, and it's because there's not many buildings like that around.
Right. Who's seen the video of the Scottish Parliament? I'll tell you guys, it's actually really neat the way you put your hands up. Can I just praise your teacher big time? But do you know on radio, it doesn't work. Right? So you just need to talk. You know, this is an ideal situation. Just talk, yeah? And what would you like to do? Your project is allowing you to look at everything that exists at the moment and change bits of it. So, what have you done with the Scottish Parliament building? Let's have somebody.
We haven't done nothing yet, but some of us think we should not be
I think the reason that we got into D.O.T.S in the Children's Parliament is because of the actual process, the experience for the children. And I think they're learning things that will stay with them. It's we talk a lot about active citizenship with children, and the only way to do that is to engage them in processes that they find meaningful and interesting. And they will remember things here. They've learned how to work together, and they've learned some very important things about the built environment. And these things I know will stay with them, and that's more important, I think.
On Monday, the first block that got pulled off was kind of tugged at my heart a bit because it was a bit precious at that point. But after a few hours of the kids working on it, it doesn't matter now. It's just fantastic to see them working.
The bottom part of the trainees' gardens. This was painted yellow originally to probably match this, and what we were trying to create in the garden here was a sort of sand, quite an exotic effect. So if you have quite bright colours here, is a club centre for children to come to after school. So if they're not wanting to do any particular clubs, perhaps they might want to come and just play football, which is why we've got a football pitch here. We've decided to make the paths a little more colourful, so we've decided to put stones, colourful stones on it. And these stones here are the paths. And we've made a pond over here. Well, we've been making an eco-hotel that's powered by solar panels. This is the greenhouse with the cafe. That's a museum. That's going to be another museum. There's some mazes. There's going to be a maze over there, and this is going to be a tram stop here and all of that.
I'm painting this for the model of the Eco City project, because we're going to make you got some churches and you're going to make a mosque with a garden and an underground car park. We just want to make it a bit more colourful than it really is in real life. It's really a good opportunity for us to have our say instead of adults.
Amy here has been working on the fire site on the Cowgate. She's wanted to put 2 different tram stations in, one on different levels, one on the South Bridge here and one on the Cowgate down here, and linking them with a lift here and stairs here so that you can get between the 2 levels. She's wanted shops putting in and a cafe as well and a garden as well, and that's going to link up with Blair Street here, which the kids decided that they wanted painting a nice brighter colour than it is at the moment. And the whole thing's going to have a glass roof off it, over the top of it, with some vines growing in it and maybe some stained glass windows as well.
This project's different. Well, it's partly different for me because it covers the area where I grew up as well, so that's really interesting for me. But it's different also because it's a very built-up area, and there are a lot of kind of outside pressures from adults and other organisations to try and preserve certain aspects of Edinburgh the way it is. And what the children need to do is to think about the way that they would like Edinburgh to be. And that's quite a challenge.
Well, it was supposed to be like a shell. Now it looks a little bit more like a pita bread. And it's a children's natural history museum. And it has an observatory in the top. And it's all the history of Holyrood Park. So it's got like volcanoes and stuff in it.
I've just picked up Carl's snooker hall that he's built for this site here. And he's got crisps, drinks and food here. This is a menu that he wants to have projected onto the side of the building. So he's represented that by writing on that. What's really interesting about the snooker hall, there's a couple of things. The different floors have been given their different uses. We've got an art club on the bottom, cafe on the top. This originally was one half of Carl's snooker table that he built.
Get to meet other people and different people from different countries, different cultures, and also you can get as messy as you like.
We're working on the Dumby Dykes flats and the kind of Holyrood Park, and I really enjoy making the model. Because Dumby Dykes doesn't have a lot of grassy areas, we've painted it green so that we put more grass there. And we've coloured all the houses pastel colours because they used to be grey and that's a bit too boring.
After this week's finished, I'm sure that children will take away a good experience with them. But what we'd like to do is leave some kind of legacy for the area so that the model and the children's experience can pull adults into understanding better how their city works and what kind of changes they'd like to make to it. So it's a kind of tool for engaging with adults that maybe haven't had good experiences of past kind of engagement with the issues that we're raising with the children.
We've also been looking at the infrastructural aspects. So roads, for instance, have gone in today, and we're getting much better structure now running throughout the model. We know where the main roads are, we know where the tram lines run, pedestrianised areas, bike paths, that kind of thing. So generally, yes, it's the infrastructural stuff that's coming together today.
I think the most fantastic thing is the time elevator in the centre of the crags. It's a natural history museum that's actually a giant lift in the top of the crags, and as you go down you see the different layers of history. That's just amazing. I mean, I really don't think many adults would come up with an idea that playful and imaginative.
This is a time elevator, and it will tell us how the earth began and how dinosaurs came and how history began. And it'll be going so deep, it'll be going right under our first seat. That will make sure every tourist gets to see it when they come.
Okay, well, this is the most manic part of the week. We've literally got half an hour left. It's absolutely imperative that all the ideas that are not on the board yet are put on in the next 20 minutes, and that's it. And then it's finished. They've got to have everything there so that we can actually go around all the boards, so all the kids know what's happening on all the boards, and it's not just their own that they know about. So on tomorrow they can take the adults round and they know everything about every board, and they know about the whole way in which it joins up. That's where we are now.
We've got 2 minutes to put it on there, starting from now.
Well, that's it done now, right? Basically, it's a matter of tidying up the model, get it ready for exhibition tomorrow. But the kids' work, all the kids' ideas, etc., are now done. A lot of the work now is making sure the kids understand the whole model and they know what's happening on other boards, so they can then take adults around tomorrow afternoon.
This is the next century, where the universal's free. You can find it anywhere. Yes, the future's been sold. Every night we're gone, and to karaoke songs. How we like to sing along, though the words are wrong. It really, really, really could happen. Yes, it really, really, really could happen. When the days they seem to bumble you, will just let them go.
And I'm sure that everybody's going to be really interested to hear about all this project. So thanks to everyone for being involved. I think if we can make Edinburgh a friendlier city, you'll have done a brilliant job here, and a lot of the practical ideas I think we need to take a long, hard look at. So thanks to the kids, thanks to everyone for coming, and you're now allowed to mingle and enjoy yourselves and find out what's on the big board in front of you. Thanks very much.
As anybody watching this video can see from what's going on behind me, the buzz of conversation, it's been a fabulous week, and it's still, the excitement is not going to die down for days and days and days. This has exceeded even my very high expectations, because I know how creative children can be if they're given the opportunity and the encouragement to be as creative as they have been here. Dummy Dykes working with all sorts of local communities and with D.O.T.S and with Howard Liddell and Gaia Architects.
So, you know, it's a lot of work, it's a big project. There's a lot of things for the children and the adults to get their heads round, and on different layers, different kind of just information, not just about skill. And some of the people who are maybe a bit wary about, not quite sure how to work with the children, that took a day or two, but they settled into it just amazingly. The architecture students, I don't know what we would have done without them, they were just fabulous.
Quite a lot of things that you might have expected children to pick up anyway, and then some beautifully unexpected things, like a set of allotments in the park, a Parthenon where all religions could go and meet. That is really quite extraordinary and lovely idea. Children thinking in terms of a community working together rather than separate religions. I found the whole thing, watching it unfold through the week, so exciting, so rewarding, and I really, really hope that this is going to be taken further and further.
And it was a really good week, making the model and painting it. I'm amazed that we got it done in 3 days. It was quite hard.
And now here we are at the launch. It's been really fantastic because we've had a really good response from people like Sarah Boyack giving the kids the certificates. It was a nice touch. George Reed signing them. Robin Harper, of course, the stalwart that he has been here again. Louise Batchelor was here from BBC, but she couldn't get a film crew to come with her, but she was here. She knows about the project now. We've been trying to get her to come for years. But folk from STV are here again, which is fantastic. We've spent a good amount of time. So
the reason I'm doing that because I've not done anything like this before, and it was really fun. I made lots of new friends here as well, and it was great fun.
Feeling really great about everything that's been done. Really tired, but really tired in a good way. There's been so much energy going on, so much happening, so many children getting together, sharing their ideas and everything. It's just been bouncing around. It's been really, really good. It's great today to see the kids just off and speaking to the adults, full of confidence about their ideas. One of them said that they hoped that the adults would learn to listen. I just thought that was fantastic. I really think the adults got the idea that the kids have just done all this themselves. They own this. It belongs to them. It's really been good. I'm shattered but still buzzing.
Yeah, well, the idea I had was that the children knew quite specifically what they wanted to do. So right from the start, they had like really good ideas, which they developed more and more.
It's been very good consultation with young people, and speaking as an artist who does a lot of issue-based work, this for me has been really important. It's working with a team of people that truly believe that children's opinions are important, they really count, that they have to be listened to, and they are citizens of Edinburgh, and their opinions on their city are as important as anyone else's.
So that's the jamboree bit over. It's always very nice. The kids get a lot out of it, and parents are always amazed and astonished at what kids can achieve, and it's been very good eco-city.
People, they come together.